Hey, what's up, everybody? You tuned in to another episode of Strategic Moves. I'm your host, Kenn Dowell. This is a place where we bring art, culture, politics, and business all together, and we do it every Sunday right here on this channel. But when I'm not shooting this podcast, I am the owner of Strategic Resources and the founder of the African American Men's Action Network. We call it AMAN. We specialize in political campaigns, government, and public relations work. I've been doing it for over 25 years in this town, met some interesting people along the way, and I want to make your next move a strategic move. So this program gives me an opportunity to do just that. We bring on people that we met. We talk about our interesting lives, and maybe it's something that you can get out of it that'll help you with your personal or business life. You never know. So if that sounds like something you'll be interested in, all I need you to do is to hit that like button, hit the notification bell as well, so that you will know the next time this program is coming on. So without that, we're going to keep moving forward and get things going. But before I get started, I want to give a shout out to the best podcast producer in the business, DJ True. What's going on, sir?
What's up, Ken? How's it going?
Every day is a holiday. Every day is a holiday.
Every day is a holiday.
Today, we're going to get to it, man, because we're doing a special, and we decided that, we wanted to take some time to go around and talk to some of the people around this city and our county about issues that's going on. Cleveland is coming back up on the summer we got coming. It's always hot in the summer. It's always stuff that's going on, and we have known we had a police shortage in our city and all kinds of issues, and we're going to take this opportunity to run a series for you people. We're going to bring in some high-level elected officials and non-elected officials that are in law enforcement, and we're going to talk about some of the things that they're doing and what's going on in the community and what they are going to be doing in order to help either get an opportunity to join their forces and be a part of what they're doing, or you better watch out because they're coming after you. So that's what we're going to do today.
Bust your doors in, huh?
Oh, yeah, they busting doors in this summer. So we letting y'all know that right now. All right. So what we're going to do today is we're going to get started with, as we call them in the neighborhood, top authority is in the house today, y'all. Believe it or not, top authority. Top authority. Those three letters that everybody run from. FBI is in the house today. We got the agent in charge of the Cleveland office here in Cleveland, none other than Greg Nilsson. And we call him, his title is SSA Nilsson, correct? SAC Nilsson is in the house today, and he is over the Cleveland division of the FBI here. So everybody, let's give him a warm welcome.
Thank you, Ken.
And thank you for coming in. Thank you for coming in, man.
I would rather be here than anywhere else right now.
Oh, you know what? That's a great compliment, man. And we appreciate you coming in. I grew up here in Cleveland and had a lot of friends of mine and grew up in a neighborhood that has all kinds of experiences. And we know that the neighborhoods are just not the same as they were. And so I want to do my little part by being able to at least educate the community about some of the things that they may not know and give our law enforcement and other people an opportunity to be able to work in our community to kind of help us in any way that they can. So today we're going to get an opportunity to sit down and talk with you a little bit and kind of break the ice with your organization and talk a little bit about what it is that the FBI office of Cleveland is doing, as well as get some information about yourself. But before we start our program, we always get in everybody's business a little bit, and we know the FBI don't get too much business. So we're going to ask you, give us some background, man. I know you're not from Cleveland. You started out somewhere else. So give us a little quick overview of your descent to where you are today.
Absolutely. And first, I'll start by saying I'm the luckiest person to have this job. I love the job. I love the FBI. Mm-hmm. I've been in the FBI for almost 23 years. A couple weeks will be 23 years.
Okay.
And I certainly started investigating as just like every other special agent does, investigating different federal violations of the law. Mm-hmm. I specifically worked a lot of drug gang and violent crime violations when I first came in. I was assigned to Miami. Mm-hmm. From there, you can make a couple of decisions. Do you want to continue investigating or do you want to go the promotion route? I decided to take the promotion route. Mm-hmm. So I moved a few times. I've been to DC, I've been to Buffalo, I've been to Pittsburgh.
Wow.
And then Segis and Clarksburg, West Virginia. And my final resting spot is here in Cleveland. And I wouldn't want to be in any other place except right here in Cleveland.
So you moved quite a bit.
6 times from the day I started. I was a police officer in Virginia Beach, Virginia for about 7 years. Mm-hmm. and then from Virginia to Miami, and that started the trek to the process, and it's been 6 moves.
So what made you want to go into law enforcement in the beginning? So you were out of high school, college, and you said, I want to be a cop, start off with?
Funny story is when I was growing up in high school, I used to watch the live police TV shows.
Okay.
Didn't know a police officer, didn't know an FBI agent, but it attracted me.
Okay.
And it got me initially interested. And as I got older into high school and college, I did some more research. Thought it was the right fit for me. I like to be out and about. At least initially in my career with the community. I do a lot of outreach. I investigate crimes. I like to think that I've at least made a few things safer throughout my career. So it just grew on me. I wasn't an office person to begin with, and here I am sitting in a suit 23 years later, right? But yeah, initially I just want to get out there and work with our partners and have fun.
So you started out, and you say Miami was where you first started?
Yeah, that was my first office of assignment. Yes, it was pre 9/11, so I was down there when 9/11 happened.
Okay. Did you work your way through there, or did you leave there and straight up?
From there, I went to Washington, D.C. I promoted to the supervisory special agent or SSA position.
So from there, you decided to join the FBI?
No, I joined from Virginia as a police officer.
Okay.
I got hired out of Norfolk, Virginia. In my first office, they moved me all the way down to Miami, and that was my first office. So I started in 2001. First office of assignment was Miami, Florida.
So is it easier becoming an agent because you're a police officer versus not being a police officer going in?
No, I think it's equal playing ground. So the people we're looking for, attorneys, and I'll highlight anybody out there listening with some type of cyber degree or experience, we want you. There's military. We've hired band directors from high schools. We want a diverse background of different people. Professional athletes have gone through, school teachers, veterinarians, doctors. So we hire a multitude of diverse backgrounds. We look for leaders, future leaders.
All right. So as you was working your way through there, and you decide your first stop, you say was in DC?
Miami, Florida.
Miami, Florida.
Yes,
and you say there you was doing a lot of drug crime and stuff. I imagine down there is a lot of
drug, violent crime, absolutely gang investigation. So yeah, I was working a lot with the local police departments because again, FBI would fail if we try to work by ourselves. Partnerships on the law enforcement and non-law enforcement, especially our community members, are probably one of the most important things that makes us successful.
So what made you leave Miami?
I love the food. I love the people. I love the espresso.
Right.
But I was ready to get back into the supervisory role. So DC was that route. And to be honest, I wanted 4 seasons. I missed the 4 seasons.
Ah, really?
So I love my snow. I like my cool weather and my fall. So we were ready for that change. And in order to promote to where I wanted to go, you have to go to Washington, D.C.
So D.C. gave you 4 seasons, not too much of it neither. It's just a little bit of snow. It just gave you a little bit. So what you do in D.C.? What was mainly your?
I switched over, so I was a primarily criminal investigator in Miami, and I wanted to. It was after 9/11. I went through 9/11 in Miami, and I wanted to move over to the counterterrorism side. So I went up to D.C. As a counterterrorism supervisor. And while I was there, the section I was in switched over to the Weapons of Mass Destruction Directorate. So I was lucky enough to work different intel collection out of Iraq. That was when the Iraq War was in 2006. So I worked with some other agencies, and I learned a lot. I got to lead a small group of people, and I enjoyed it. I had some successes, some leadership successes. So I said, hey, why not go this route or continue down this road?
So how long you stayed in D.C.?
I was there for 4+ years. So while I was in DC, I made a switch. I didn't have to move, but I went from DC area to Quantico. So I was able to teach at Quantico for just over 2 years. I had a daughter in high school, and I promised not to move her while she was in high school. So I switched over, and I taught at Quantico. So all the new agents coming in for a couple of years, I taught defensive tactics and physical training to them. So
Quantico is the main place where you go to train and everything. I did watch that program too. I watched Quantico too. So in that program, in there, that's where everybody goes when you join the FBI. Everybody goes to Quantico.
So we have we'll break it down. We have 3 different career paths. Special agent, which is the one I'm in.
Okay.
All special agents have to go to Quantico, and it's anywhere from 18 to 22 weeks you live there. There's intelligence staff, so intelligence analysts, and anyone in that intelligence career field, they have to go to Quantico for, it depends on what path you're down, for anywhere from 8 to 12 weeks. Professional staff employees, they usually go for just an onboarding for 1 week, and they get the most of their training at the field office. So I like to compare us to like a small business. And this is what a lot of people don't know, is we have mechanics for staff. We have HR specialists. We have admin specialists. We have secretaries. So my message out to the public, if they're looking for a job, don't rule us out. We have a lot of opportunity, as many law enforcement agencies do.
Interesting. So it's almost similar to almost like the military to some degree, because you just got me thinking, if you decide you want to go, you go off. It's not like here where you go in to, a police officer go to its little training. You actually going off to training. In most cases. And like you're saying, you stay in there some weeks to get all your training. You live there and everything. So to that point, if you wanted to be a mechanic or anything, you can go there and you kind of pick your position. You're right.
Yeah, you get hired for a position.
Okay.
So the special agent program, they're going to teach you everything you need to know. So if you're a school teacher with no law enforcement experience, they're going to teach you. If you're a police officer like myself who got hired as a special agent, you're going to go through the same training that school teacher does for the special agent position.
Okay.
If you're an analyst, the same thing. You're going to go, they're going to teach you how to write and how to do analysis. If you're a mechanic or someone else on the professional staff side, you generally have the certification before you come into the FBI, and we hire you because of that certification.
I understand.
So you don't necessarily go to Quantico for a length of time, but we have other in-service credits and trainings that you can take to advance your current training.
So if you were a mechanic,
yes,
do they have to be hiring mechanics for you to go? That's how it works.
Yes.
Okay. I understand. Okay.
And we'll provide advanced training. Like we'll send you to different 1 or 2 week schools to make you better at what you do for us.
Interesting. Okay, so you taught at Quantico. How long you do there?
A little over 2 years.
Oh, that was a short stint.
It was. So that was all considered my headquarters or DC time. So I just switched from one job to the other. And I did a little over 2 years, and I loved it. And I wouldn't trade it for the world, but I was ready to get back into the field operations.
You always ready to get back to it again.
Yeah, I was ready to get back to it.
So what did you do then?
I went from Quantico to Buffalo.
New York?
Yeah, that's where I grew up. Don't make fun of it.
Well, you wanted some snow. I guess you got your snow. That's why I was like, Buffalo, New York?
So I went back home, so to speak, in Buffalo.
Okay.
And for the most of my time there, I was a supervisor over our Joint Terrorism Task Force. So international terrorism investigations, domestic terrorism, and then weapons of mass destruction, or kind of the bomb threat, biological, nuclear threats, are the stuff that I was a supervisor. So I was a supervisory special agent in Buffalo.
Wow. So did you have any real things that stuck up in your mind that you dealt with when you was dealing with them?
This was back in 2010. So listen, there's a lot that goes behind the scenes that make our community safer that people don't know and community members don't know about, which is great stuff. So I can certainly say we've had a lot of threats. And when you look back, you don't know, somebody may have the capability and they may have, weapons or guns. You don't know what their mindset is and if they were really going to do something. But I was satisfied with saying, hey, we took those guns off the street, and whether you arrested that person or not, we got them some help that we think that could make them acclimate to society better. So we did arrest some people for some terrorism violations, all on open source. I don't remember the names.
I understand.
I'm older now, and it's tough to remember. But we did have some successful investigations and prosecutions on the terrorism side, which is pretty impressive. Regarding the terrorist activity. You
actually had to disarm any bombs while you were there?
Did not.
Wow.
It's unfortunate. We do have lots of bomb threats. And that's one of the things that we're seeing for whatever reason. People making those bomb threats. We treat them all the same. Our partners, the local law enforcement are generally the first people there, and they do a phenomenal job clearing with the bomb dogs. We work side by side. We have a special agent bomb technician that works with the local bomb experts. So they're all collaborating, working together. and they know, what's going on in the community. If there's a bomb threat, regardless of where it is, they all get those notifications. So
those guys are kind of special, aren't they?
They're smart people. Yeah.
They really smart guys. You think? I mean,
I know what you're thinking.
Right. They got to have a little craziness to them to want to run in there and deal with that.
Yeah. Now, listen, nowadays there's a lot of equipment where you see on TV.
Yeah.
I don't know that we've ever suited up in that big green outfit and walk down there and diss down a bomb. There's so much equipment where you can drive something over there and those are your hands. So if something does go boom, nobody's in danger. It's a piece of equipment.
Right.
Picks that equipment up, puts it in a big safe container, and they take it out to some safe place where they will do the disarming and they'll do the actual work to see if it is a bomb. So, we talked about that earlier, the TV shows.
Right.
A lot of that, some of that is pretty cool and it's accurate, but I don't know, not that we couldn't, but for the most part, we have a lot of equipment that keeps us in the community safe that we would use to disarm or at least look at if a bomb's legit or not.
And you guys check out every threat, like you were saying. If somebody call in, it's a threat on there. And these kids who's doing these threats with these bomb threats with schools and that kind of stuff. You guys that's who they call you guys to check out all of those threats,
Not
right?
all the time.
Okay.
It's a lot of times those are reported to a local police agency, but a lot of times someone will, it's you and I talking and maybe you see something that you see some type of bomb threat on scene, or the school reports it. To get reported to us, will generally call 1-800-CALL-FBI 24/7 service there, or tips.fbi.gov. But most of the time it comes into a 911 center. If it comes through our tips.fbi.gov, it's 24/7. They will call the field office. We'll wake somebody up if it's 2 a.m, and we get working on it. But we don't do it alone. We always call the local agency, the police agency that has jurisdiction, and we'll work it together.
Is that a federal offense, like a kid who does that? So if they does it and y'all trace it back, that's
it could be. Now, most of these, in fair disclosure, are prosecuted at a local level.
Okay.
Just because it's a juvenile. And the local level or the local jurisdictions are better at getting that kid or family the services they need. And, speaking of bomb threats that we've seen online, it's sad, 13 to 17-year-old, generally males, but females are not excluded, are what we're seeing. And it's anywhere from, it was a joke. I was mad at somebody in an online gaming platform and this is the way I reacted, or just didn't want to go to school that day. But yeah, those are the common things that we hear when we knock on the door and talk to mom and dad. And most often mom and dad are tremendously responsive. And that goes into, the impact of what you do at the end anyways, how engaged the parents are as a result of this. So, that's what we're seeing on that front.
So since let's stay on that topic for a little bit, this new thing, swatting.
Yeah.
A friend of mine, Congresswoman Chantel Brown, she's a friend of mine. Yes. And she just got swatted recently, I guess. And so that imagine is going up another level, because now you brought in a much enforcements and everything along that lines, right?
Yeah. So that's what swatting is somebody creating an emergency, such as something's happening bad right now. They call 911 and they force a quick police response to those residences. Generally, we're not going to respond to a swatting incident because we're not first responders, but we do work with local law enforcement, and we try to connect the dots across the United States, because it could be somebody sitting on the West Coast that's making these type of swatting efforts, different states, different schools, different political figures for whatever reason. And we also have a lot of connections overseas, where somebody's sitting overseas and they're making those same threats. What's good about the FBI is we have a long reach. We have people that sit and represent more than 283 different countries. Okay. So we have those relationships with liaison services in those or in those international locations where we can pass information. And a lot of times they will action that on our behalf. So ultimate goal is to identify the person behind the keyboard. And then either get that person help they need, or if it's judicial action, then we will coordinate with our prosecutors at the local and federal levels and determine which direction is best.
Since we're on that a little bit, let's dip our toes in this cyber stuff and all of that a little bit. Yeah. I did an interview with Tim and Tamia Woods.
I met them last week.
Ah, you met them last week?
They are the recipient of our Director's Leadership Award. So they'll be
Excellent.
going to Washington, D.C. I believe it's on April 19th to receive that award from the director for the phenomenal work they've done.
Excellent. Yes.
Under those horrible circumstances.
Horrible circumstances, man. I had them on the show. I watch TV and watch the news a lot to figure out what I want to do. And I saw that one, and that one kind of got to me. Just the whole circumstance. Then when I had them in on the show and had a chance to talk with them and got in depth to what really happened, man, it's just terrible. So for the people who know, they were on our show. They were victims of sextortion. Their son was a victim of sextortion, and he had took his life as a result of people calling them, threatening, and saying they were going to show pictures of him and things of that nature. Your office, how's your office working in regards to that and helping people with that?
And it's unfortunate, but we have seen a significant uptick in sextortion violations across the United States that result in suicide. So we are doing everything we can to work with people like Tim and Tamia, other local law enforcement agencies, to just encourage kids. Report it to someone you trust. Report it to law enforcement. So we can work it from our angle. We work with the local prosecutors. We work with our local partners. We identify that person on the other end of the keyboard, and we try to do whatever we can to hold them judicially responsible. We try to make an arrest on those extortion cases. But, if I could really just encourage anybody listening, adults, you have to have conversations with your kids. You have to talk about what the outcomes can be if you share a naked photo or an explicit photo online. You have to know what's on your kid's phone. I know it's hard. I had a teenage daughter back, and that, man, if I was touched at her phone within 3 feet, I was getting snapped at. So you got to find a way to have those conversations. And if you go to our FBI.gov website, upper right-hand corner, just Google sextortion. There are some phenomenal talking points. So adults can talk to the kids, trusted adults can talk to their kids. But the biggest thing is understand they're not a victim. They did nothing wrong.
That's correct.
And they need to report it.
That's correct. That's the biggest piece right there, that they know that, and knowing that there's agencies like yourself and others that's not going to look at them any differently and will help them through that process. Yeah,
absolutely. And to your listeners, we do a lot of outreach. One of our main outreach points is about sextortion. We go to schools. We go to different community groups. We talk to adults. We talk to kids. In fact, I have an online safety document I want to leave with you. You can share that with your listeners or however you want to do that. But it's just some basic points. But we need to keep messaging it together.
Yeah, that's going to be the key to that. And then the last thing on that, because you're going to have another one of your agents going to come in. We're going to really dive deep in that. Right now, the other big thing is the seniors, and it ain't even seniors. Hell, they done got me a couple of times. I done been hacked and people done took money, and people call all the time, man, with all kinds of gimmicks, and you really got to be sharp, because they will get you if you're not careful. You've been seeing any uptakes in that kind of thing happen?
Absolutely. And I want to say this too: if it is too good to be true, it is. Don't click on it. Don't open it up, delete it, and go to the real website if it's saying that you have an issue. But generally our aging population over 60, we've seen a really big uptick because they're financially secure. They have retirements. Sometimes they're looking for companionship, and that companionship could mean a partner. It could be just a common group interest.
Just a nice person who called on the phone. Just
a nice person to talk to.
Yeah.
So if somebody within the first week of meeting them is saying how much they care and love you, and, oh, by the way, I need $1,000 to get a new computer, or I need you to transfer this money, or give me your credit card number. Never, ever share your personal identifying information or anything that has to do with your finances, especially to someone you've never met. And then that's the teaser for when Charlie Johnston or ASAC comes down and talks about it further.
Excellent.
I got a quick question.
Sure.
What about there's a lot of social media like identity theft or people taking over people's pages. Now, how far does the FBI get into that type of stuff?
Yeah, anything online we will take a look at and make a determination. And that's where the partnerships comes into play. We do have certain thresholds for prosecution, but the Federal Trade Commission also works identity theft. And in fact, there's a media Next week, we're going to do a round robin for 2 hours with the media. Federal Trade Commission, I'll be there. The U.S. Attorney will be there to talk about different online crimes. But the Federal Trade Commission is awesome at takeovers for different websites such as Facebook. If you just report it at their website, that's how to get things rolling. And then also for us, anything online related, ic3.gov. Report it. We have people that are monitoring those reports, and they put the puzzles together. Right?
Okay.
So if it's just a $1,000 fraud here, that may be linked to a $100,000 fraud somewhere else.
Correct.
They put those pieces of the puzzle together. The Federal Trade Commission does a phenomenal job at working that identity theft and takeovers of different identities online. And they work together to try to identify the people. And most importantly, we work together to try to get the money back, or at least some of the money back of those who lost anything.
So can you give everybody again, if you a senior or someone at home, and what's that web address they can go to?
ic3.gov. ic3, it's the letter I, the letter C, the number 3 .gov. ic3.gov.
Excellent. And then what is that round robin that you just had mentioned?
Yeah, I think it's next Tuesday. There's a media event where there's going to be 5 or 6 contributors or people there, myself, U.S. Attorney's Office. I don't know when it's going to be here. The Federal Trade Commission. I think the Federal Trade Commission actually set it up. Okay. And it revolves around different online frauds that we're seeing most of too. And one of them is identity theft, or if you get your identity or your identity stolen. So I don't know when those are going to be aired. It's probably a little different for each one of the channels. Okay. But something to look forward to. Your show.
I will definitely keep up with Susan and make sure I reach out to her, and because we can add that as a link to this program, and people who want to check into that, and I think that's important to get that information out to people.
Absolutely.
So let's talk about, now we got you out of Quantico. I want to get you to Cleveland, because you have a long history of getting there. And so from Quantico, you went to where, and then where?
I went to Buffalo. From Buffalo, I went to Pittsburgh, and I promoted to the assistant special agent in charge of the Pittsburgh field office. Okay. I worked mainly criminal stuff. About midway through there, I was there about 4 years. I switched over and I worked the cyber and the intelligence piece, because I wanted to diversify my own background and learn more about those cyber violations. Okay. From there, I went down to Clarksburg, West Virginia, which was another headquarters assignment at CJIS, Criminal Justice Information Services Division, which is completely different. That is law enforcement support. So think about our NCIC system that our police officers use to run wants and warrants checks. Okay. It has NICS. NICS does all, I can't say all, but the majority of background checks. Anybody who buys a firearm, a handgun at least, those checks run through CJIS or NICS. Right. The National Threat Operations section, which was one of the sections that I oversaw when I was down there, they're the 24/7 conduit for answering the phones. They answer the 1-800-CALL FBI, and they monitor the tips.fbi.gov 24/7. So you will get a live person if you want to report a federal violation. Really? At 1-800-CALL FBI.
24/7.
24/7. Now, there might be a little wait depending on the call volume, but it's not an hour or a long wait. But yes, that is a way that you can report federal violations.
And that office did all of that.
They did. They also do all the data collection for all, for all the crime statistics and the official FBI publications pertaining to those crime statistics. They collect that data through CJIS, and they verify it and they publish it every year.
So you done worked in every aspect.
Yeah, that was different for me. It was really, really cool. I got to learn. I managed multi-million-dollar budgets, which is scary. Hiring processes, the behind-the-scenes law enforcement support. I had nothing. I did not work or support, or I did not work cases or manage cases when I was down there. Solely supporting the FBI and supporting law enforcement, the 16,500 plus law enforcement agencies across the United States.
So you was just giving them a lot of more support and helping them with their. That's pretty cool. Yeah. So that is a lot. What aspects haven't you worked in, you think?
I look at myself, the jack of all trades, expert of nothing. So,
well, that's good.
I like a little bit of change. I like doing and trying things different. That was my path. I don't want to say I get bored with anything. I just want to say that I like to try to learn and grow and try to experience different things. And I've been lucky enough to touch most of our programs, probably not all of them, but at least I've gotten a little bit of experience there.
And your family moved every time you moved.
Yeah, my daughter's still mad at me.
So how many kids you got?
I got one.
Oh, well, that was lucky. You only had one to argue with.
Yeah, but she was a great kid. But yeah, it's tough on your family when you move around. The friend network, wife always been supportive. Has to find a new job almost everywhere we move. So it's tough on them. But I can say I got 100% support all the way around. It's key when you get into a profession such as law enforcement or something that requires you either move or the community aspect of it. It's really important to have those conversations before you get hired.
Right.
So the whole family understands what the criteria are for the job that you put in for.
So how did you get the job at Cleveland?
Well, luck, good timing, but no. So, there's a certain, you have to check the boxes, so to speak. You have to have different leadership experiences before you can put for the special agent in charge position that I hold today. So we have kind of a system that records all the openings or the vacancies. And if you qualify for that vacancy, you can put in and compete for the job. And that's exactly what I did. I think there was about 11 people total that put in for this job. Yeah. Now there's not, keep in mind, is the higher you move up in the organization, the fewer people that qualify for that position. So 11 is actually a pretty decent number when you're looking at the different special agent charge positions. And it goes through a board at headquarters of executives, and then the director will call the one who's selected. So I got that director's call on a Tuesday. Wow! Actually missed his first call, and then I was lucky enough that he called back to congratulate me. So, excellent. It's pretty cool. Yeah.
So how long you been here?
Since August 1st, 2022. So 19 months, coming up on 19 months.
So how you like the Cleveland office? And before we get into that, you can answer this all in one question. How you like the office, and tell us what does the Cleveland office does and what is your responsibility? So
my responsibility is don't let anything break and hire good leaders to make sure things are getting done to the to the community's expectations. So how we're broken down, we serve Cleveland. We sit in Cleveland as an office, but we have 40 counties. So think about Mansfield, just south of Mansfield, right and left to Pennsylvania and the border of Indiana, and then 40 counties north. That's our area of responsibility. So our Cleveland office sits in downtown Cleveland, and then we have 8 smaller offices. They're called resident agencies that cover the area further away from Cleveland, but they're all under my supervision. And what we do, so we work any federal violation, primarily, about the gangs, the drugs, the violent crime. We work everything with our partners. We also work the terrorism stuff that we touched on. We work white collar crime. We touched on the frauds, the online frauds, money laundering. We work public corruption, civil rights violations. We work different cyber. So we have a cyber criminal team and a cyber national security team. So think, seek the secret spy stuff, right? So counterintelligence, people want to know our secrets. So for Cleveland in the area here, we defend against that. We work cases to prevent that. So any type of violation you see, I'm going to leave you a handout of how we're laid out as well. So feel free to post that or share that. But any type of federal violation falls into our jurisdiction. And we have great partnerships with DEA, ATF, U.S. Marshals, HSI, Homeland Security, Border Patrol. And if I left anybody out, I apologize. But we work well with our local, state, and federal partners daily.
That's a huge area. When you think about Cleveland, we always think about just downtown Cleveland, and you would think, because hell, there's a lot of crime going on in Cleveland. It's like, okay, your hands are full, but you got a huge area that you want to get into. So let's get to some nitty gritty questions. All right. Let's get down to it. All right. So let's talk about the relationship between the African-American community and the FBI. It's not always been a good one over the years and everything. What do you think, from your experience of coming through all the things and you coming here to Cleveland, how's your office working, or the FBI as a general is working to try to help with the equity, diversity, inclusion, and that kind of thing?
I'm glad you asked that, because I wanted to touch on that. So overall, our bigger national press office did a study. There's listen, there's a study out there for anything. You can find almost any answer you want.
Mm-hmm.
The study that came back that they did, and I don't know the interest, we can get you the facts behind that.
Mm-hmm.
So that overall there is some pretty good confidence in what we're doing.
Mm-hmm.
What I will say is I agree with you 100%. It is on me as the leader of the Cleveland FBI office to gain the trust of our African-American communities and all of our communities, any type of community. And that's where we met, right? That was my effort as I was trying to get out to and hit the different community leaders, allow you to see me with a chief of police from the Cleveland Division of Police, with the U.S. Attorney, and with members of our staff. Again, it's on me to answer your questions, be honest, and build those strong relationships where they can be stronger. And I thank you for following up and inviting me here, because this is part of that that trek to get the confidence of all of our community members.
Are they making any changes in the way they do any recruitment to the African American community?
We are. So listen, I want to hire, and that's why I'm here. I want to hire a good, diverse background. I don't know what our diversity recruitment stats are. What's unique about the FBI is I may hire you out of my Cleveland office, but you may end up in Los Angeles. It's where the vacancy exists. So part of what we're doing with the outreach to gain trust of our community members is recruitment. I want to hear about what your background is. I want to talk about the vacancies we have here. We have a 30 by 30 initiative for females in the law enforcement fields, which covers everybody, which simply means by 2030, we want 30% of our hires on the special agent side, at least, to be female. And that covers all backgrounds.
Okay.
Right now, we could use improvement on the diversity hiring. We can use improvement on the female hiring. And I'm working hard, doing podcasts like this, getting out to the communities. I want them to hear from me. And I'll say this to our community members: don't rule us out. FBI jobs, there's 1,000 jobs out there. Look at what the requirements are. You may meet something that you are interested in. We're not all special agents. In fact, only about less than a third of our employees are special agents, meaning the people who carry the guns and the badges. So for reference, 37,000 about FBI employees across the entire FBI. About 13,000 are special agents. That leaves 26,000 plus different job prescriptions that fit that all other category. So that's a common myth, that people think that there's not an opportunity for them. We have opportunities for people who don't have college degrees, entry-level positions.
That was my next question. What was the most misunderstood? So you can go ahead right into that.
And on that, people learn about the FBI through TV, or a friend who thinks they know what we do. I would encourage, call us if you have an interest in a job. Invite us to your community event. I love recruitment. I love talking about what we do, but don't rule us out as an employer. I will, there are disqualifiers. We do have disqualifiers, and I want to highlight this. The biggest thing that we're seeing right now is you have to pay your bills. You have to pay your taxes.
Really?
So you have to pay that stuff. But with the legalization of marijuana, marijuana and CBD are legal to use, or they will be legal to use in around September, whenever that date is. It's still illegal at the federal level. So if you are interested in a job with the FBI or any agency or law enforcement agency, make sure you know what the drug policy is, because it could exclude you from being hired, or it could just postpone your application significantly. Also, for prescription drugs, if your name's not on it, don't use it. Those are two of the biggest things that are eliminating people from a job with the FBI. And it's kind of sad, because man, I've seen some really, really cool and good and diverse people that would make awesome employees, but they were eliminated because of one of those things. And then last, when you're meeting with the recruiter, it's a full confessional. Don't try to beat the polygraph.
Really?
That recruiter will say, hey, you need to wait 6 months or a year or 2 years or maybe even 3 years because of this, but you're honest with me, so you can apply then. If you don't disclose that at any point and you fail the polygraph, you're done.
So you got to take a polygraph.
Every FBI employee takes a polygraph.
Really?
In fact, I brought the polygrapher here. We're going to put you on.
Oh, no, I'm fine. Really? I didn't know that.
Yeah. Every law enforcement agency is different. Some do have the polygraph, some don't. The FBI, every employee, and it's really two pieces of that polygraph.
Mm-hmm.
One is, are you qualified? Are you lying about your application, your drugs, your
Mm-hmm.
history?
Mm-hmm.
Did you break the law and get away with it? All
Mm-hmm.
that stuff. The other piece is the national security piece. So if you,
I got you.
Yeah, are you a spy? Are you,
Mm-hmm.
you know, that type of thing. So there's two pieces of that. But yeah, every FBI employee, regardless of what position you're putting in for, does have to pass a polygraph.
Hey, what's the age limit for a special agent? Like, is there a cutoff?
Great question, and thank you for asking. So special agent has to be hired. 23, I believe, is the earliest age, and your 37, the day of your 37th birthday, you have to be hired by. Now, there are some exceptions. If you have previous federal law enforcement experience or military, they can give you an extension. And the reason behind that is because we have to retire when we're 57. That's just a regulation. So you have to have 20 years in before you can retire. So
you have to retire at 57?
In the special agent position.
Really?
All the other positions, those 26,000 other positions I talked about, you can get hired at 40, 50, and 60 and work till you're done. But the special agent position is 23 to 37. And again, there are some exceptions. There are reasons for some extensions, but generally 57, the month of your 57th birthday, you have to retire.
Oh, they take you out the field.
They take you out. They do. That's good and bad, right?
I guess it's good and bad. If you really wanted to be in there, you're like, man, you're taking me out. It's like you're retiring me.
Listen, 57 is early to retire.
No, you know what? It's not. I'm 56.
Yeah.
So hell, if I was saying that's why when you say, I was like, really?
Yeah.
That's not bad.
It's not.
That's not bad.
It's not. That's why you have to be hired by your 37th birthday, so you get 20 years of service in, with those few exceptions.
Let me see if there's anything else I got out of here is there anything, Susan, that you wanted me to make sure we touch base on? Because we're recording, so you can speak up and we can put it in there.
I think, Bus, if you could talk a little bit more about the technical roles. And
Absolutely.
support roles.
Yeah. So
let me ask the question then. What's the question?
Between the professional support roles and the technical roles.
All right. Can you give us a little background about the difference in the professional roles and the technical roles?
Yeah. So again, we have different tiers. We talked about the special agent enough, so we'll leave that back.
Mm-hmm.
But we have professional staff. We talked about the admin specialists, the secretaries. Technical.
Mm-hmm.
Again, I'll say it again. If you have IT or if you have cyber experience, come see me.
Mm-hmm.
We have financial analysts. So they're basically accountants on steroids that do all the financial analysis on our cases and track the money or follow the money.
Mm-hmm.
We have IT specialists. You talk about computer scientists.
Mm-hmm.
We have counterterrorism specialists, counterintelligence specialists. So all different types of specialty. They're worded as specialty positions that require kind of those advanced degrees that we talked about earlier that we don't provide you. But you come to us with an advanced degree and you want to come work with the FBI. We'll hire you and then we'll pay for your continuing education along those degrees. But anything in the IT field, the cyber field, the forensics field, we want to talk to you.
Let me ask you, do you have any particular goals that you would like to achieve in the Cleveland office while you're here and I don't know where your career would take you from here, but while you're here, what particular goals would you like to try to achieve?
I tell you, it's community trust. I don't think we're in a horrible place, but I want to get out similar to, again, how we met, hit our community leaders, hit our communities. And I want to leave confident that I at least improved that or made that change. We have great people who are great cases and we have great partnerships with the law enforcement and business side. Love to see those continue. I still want to see us make these communities safer, but part of that safety is not just arresting your way through that. It's community trust, making them feel confident enough to talk to us about different crimes or what's going on in their neighborhoods, and then educating them so they can educate their high school kids, their elementary children on what to do and what not to do. So that would be a success for me.
Yeah, and that I think is the secret sauce.
Yeah.
I think you're on to the secret sauce because when you say that, I go to a lot of meetings and we say, oh, we all want to collaborate. We want to work together. We want to work together. That's the people in that room working together. Right. And to that point, like you say, there's so many layers of law enforcement and things that take place that it's not necessarily that we all can work together in some cases because, oh, that's your jurisdiction or you can deal with that. But to have the ability to have the trust of the people to say, you know what, I'm going to call or I'm going to talk is where it really is. Because then you can bypass some of that and it makes it easier for you to decide where it should go. Maybe you will direct them back to something local, but they at least came to you first.
You're right. And it's funny. I've been here 19 months. We have this big office that's about 3 miles from where we're sitting here now.
Don't worry about that.
And when I talk to people, they have no idea. They walk by our office every day. They don't even know that we're there.
Right.
And so it's a reminder to me to get out there, talk about what we do. We have a Twitter account. Follow us. Hear the real stories. We have a Facebook account. So we have social media. We have an Instagram account. So look us up, follow us. Hear the good stuff. Hear what we're doing. Ask us questions. Have us out to your businesses, and let's talk about what we do and what we can do together.
Tell me before you let you out, why don't you give us a couple of the good things you like to talk about that you guys are doing right now?
Cybersecurity for our kids, for our parents and our educators. Anything you want to talk about, we do active shooter training for businesses. We go out, we talk about what to do. I hope it never happens. But what happens, what our version of run, hide, fight is if you find yourself in a bad situation where there's an active shooter, how to react versus freezing. Those are the two most common.
Wow.
We go out and we hit, Cleveland State, the different universities. We do recruitment events. We're always trying to get out there. We'll hit some intelligence classes. Some of those intelligence programs talk about job opportunities here. So we're out there and we want to become part of a bigger part of the community.
That's great, man. And you know what? I want to do my part to do whatever I can to help. That's why I asked you to come on. And I'm very excited about you allowing yourself to open us up to other members of your state of your business there or from that. What's the proper term? The office. Your office. Perfect. To come in and work with us and help us to educate the people. There's cybercrime and some of these cybercrime we haven't even talked about. And what's really big in our community is the human trafficking. I mean, it seems like, these children and adults are just coming up missing so having to be able to talk about those things are very special to us. And we'll definitely make sure we do our part to get it out in the community.
Thank you.
So, but like we do with all of our shows, you get an opportunity now to talk right into this camera. I'm going to give you that opportunity. Make sure you leave information on how they can get in touch with your office. Let people know anything you want to talk about recruitment, anything about that. Please do. Take your time. The camera's yours. And any of those things that you want to refer to, I'll make sure we leave that in our thing as well so people can take a look at. So take your time.
Yes.
It's on you.
Thank you, Ken. Ken, I appreciate you having me. And what I want to do for the community members is involve us in what you do. Invite us to some of your events. We want to talk about recruitment. We want to talk about safety and never rule us out as a potential job opportunity. We hire all sorts of backgrounds and maybe, just maybe, that you will fit into one of those fields. And thank you again for having us.
How they can reach you, because I'm gonna edit this in. Give them information on how they can contact if they have cybercrime problems again, and if they want to recruit, join there, how they can really reach you.
So some great websites to visit for any type of cyber fraud, anything that happens online. IC3.gov. So that's capital I, capital C, the number 3.gov. General federal violations, 1-800 call FBI or tips.fbi.gov. For jobs, it's just fbijobs.gov. And there'll be a whole slew of jobs. Just make sure that you look at the area that job is posted. Not everything is Cleveland specific.
So if you could mention that when reporting online or by phone, your identity can remain confidential.
And as always, whenever you report to the FBI, we want to hear from you, but your identity can remain anonymous.
Okay. So, hey, all of those links that he just talked about is going to be listed in his description of this program where you can reach out and make sure you can get it. He left some information here. Also, we'll make sure that information is made available for you as well. And once again, look out for our series. We're going to do a series on safety, law enforcement in Cuyahoga County. And we just kicked it off today with Special Agent in charge of the Cleveland office, Greg Nelson. And we'll see you next week. Peace. Great job.
Thank you, Ken.
Great job. Great job. Great job.